We are so connected.
We're really connected, yes.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time again to live the RAAD life with our resident raconteurs, our storytellers, and live the life we all want to live here in Orange County and elsewhere around the world today with our hosts and guests. We're talking about World Wellness Week here, I think. Isn't that what we're doing, guys, here? Got to get the music to roll out here, and we'll roll it down for you here. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio. Welcome, guys, to the show.
Paul is rocking the scene today.
I'm rocking it with the RAAD Life guys here.
Paul, were you ever at Studio 54?
I was, and I was at I was at the one after that, which wasn't quite as well in the culture. The Limelight, there were several of them around the country. The Limelight was an old church in New York that was the hip thing right after Studio 54.
And was that a healthy part of your life? Like, do you feel that you're in wellness regimen?
Yes, amen, absolutely. I felt well all the time.
Old enough?
Mostly artificially induced, right?
You were definitely old enough to get in. I think you may have come in a Flintstone car.
We were not. If I had known I was going to live this long, as the great Groucho Marx or W.C. Fields said, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself.
Yeah, I don't believe it for a minute, by the way. Just to be on record.
But you know what you just say is perfect for interview.
Absolutely. And so without further ado, let me introduce our guest. A good friend of mine. I've known him for way too long. I've known you a long time, right? We've been around the block a couple of times together. So Jean-Guy is joining us. Where are you at, Jean-Guy, today?
Paris, France, my friend, not Paris, Texas.
You're at home. Okay. So Jean-Guy is somebody I met when I was designing in the wellness space, right? He's been involved. He's a renowned and award-winning consultant in the hospitality and the spa and wellness space. The industry has changed dramatically from the days of Paul partaking in wellness in the back rooms of Studio 54 to today, where you don't need to use a straw or a rolled up dollar bill.
We're going to lose Paul very soon.
We're going to lose Paul very soon. No, I hope not, because we need somebody to man the equipment.
I'm here. I'm taking all this abuse. I'm listening.
Just every once in a while, just breathe so we know you're still with us, Paul.
Okay.
But so we've seen a lot of changes to the industry from, I would say, times when it was a little bit superficial, maybe more a gift for somebody or a nice little treat for somebody, to where now it's more integrated into people's lives. And it used to be almost like a playground of the well-off or those who had discretionary spending only, and now it has become more not only by virtue of its propensity, but also by the way that people are applying it. People even in the industry are applying it. And there's some people that have led the charge in that. And one of them is mon ami Jean-Guy. See how I kind of did that? So mon ami Jean-Guy, because, and I can't believe it's been 8 years. Honestly, it's amazing. I remember when you first started this, right? He started an event called World Wellness Weekend. And it was basically to promote the benefits of wellness and awareness, raise awareness and all this stuff. And without further ado, and please start with giving people the website, Jean-Guy, because then it gives a chance for people to follow as we are talking. But because there's a lot, and it's been, I'm sure, and I want to know how it has changed over the last 8 years for both you, your meaning of it, what is involved, how people have embraced it. But congratulations, first and foremost, for me, for knowing that you've been doing this for 8 years and the success and the impact you've had, because it is not a small thing.
Thank you. Thank you, Rad. You definitely are an inspiration for me, because when I see your posts talking about the RAAD life, talking about the way that people should take life actually seriously without taking themselves seriously. You know, aging is a privilege. And with the 20 years I've been dedicating my entire life, and when you're a consultant, when you're an educator, and when we work in this industry, people think, oh my God, you're so lucky, you get massaged every day. Well, actually, we work days, nights, weekends, holidays. The only day I don't work is really my birthday, Christmas Day, also New Year's Day. So 3 days in the year. And it's a lot of energy. And going from mission to mission, training to training, working with cosmetic brands, hotel groups, designing signature experiences for the past 20 years. Some won international awards, some became bestsellers. Always starting from a blank page and trying to find a sense of place and something, a reason why for people to come and to come again. And I was always going to different places around the world, training those teams and leaving with a sense of awe to have connected with people with purpose, people with hearts of gold, hands of gold, people dedicated 9 to 5 and sometimes more to making somebody else's day. And when in 2015, the United Nations had a standing ovation with introducing the 17 SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, I was in awe, because the United Nations don't argue very often about everything, but on this occasion, 198 people stood up to vote yes to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I will not name them all, but just the first three are the end of poverty, so that everyone can have a decent wage every day. And that's over $1.50 per day. The other is the end of hunger, so that everyone on this planet can at least have one meal. And I know your host next to you is a famous chef, so he knows how important a meal is. And the third one is good health and well-being for all. And of course, there's gender equality, there's sustainable cities, there's preserving life on Earth, oceans, 17. But good health and well-being for all. And that struck me like a lightning. And I thought, this is us. This is the why I joined this industry, to change the perspective that people have on their day, their life, by taking better care of themselves and the ones they love. 2017, when I looked around and asked hotel groups and cosmetic brands about good health and well-being, they said, yeah, it's all for doctors and nurses, right? And I said, no, they are the first line of responders if something happens. Mind you, it's 2017, before COVID. But we are the second line of responders, helping people to stay healthy for as long as we can and they can, so that they don't have to go to a hospital or a clinic.
So let me share something right there, because I think it's worth noting. So in the description, what you're basically saying, relevant to first line of responders and second line of responders, right? We're saying the medical field is the first line of responders and the health and wellness field is the second line of responders. And I think the biggest change, I don't know if you will agree with me, the biggest change that I have noticed, and some people were aware of this already, and we called them hippies and people that were completely disconnected and disjointed from life and normalcy, right? Which normalcy is an overrated word, I think, is it should be the other way around. First line of responders, the way that you live your life, which basically is health and wealth and wellness, should be such that your medical needs are the almost like the triage should anything not work if you are living the life with a regiment of wellness. And I think it's funny that when you look at societies like I mean, you're absolutely right. When the United Nations said that, it was mind-boggling, but at the same time, it was so obvious, right? It was like the mind-boggling aspect of it is that we actually had to state it, that it wasn't clearly understood by everybody that this is a good thing to pursue, that we set it on the back burner, right?
Agreed. And 8 years later, it is still a climb to make hotel groups, cosmetic brands, fitness clubs to fully understand it. Some do.
What do you
Some
think
do,
that is?
and they are recognized as wellness champions or wellness heroes, and I'll get into this later.
Yeah.
But some don't, and they just want to ask, what's in it for me if I participate?
Well, that's the what's in it for me is the root of a lot of evils, not just in wellness, right?
Can I add something to? I can add something to
Yes.
these comments.
Yes.
You mentioned medical, and I think for personal experience,
Yeah.
I've been so lucky to have great treatment. And these days, if you want to have good medical treatment result, I was experiencing a combination of hospitality and medical. And we have some new medical center that really treat you like if you are in a five-star
Yeah,
hotel.
there's a crossover between, and you know this, that what everybody has experienced is you can no longer say that the wellness and the spa industry, and I'm using the spa industry because it's an easy way to identify a sector, right? But that sector is in its own silo. And then hospitality is in its own silo. And then medical is its own silo. And aging and healthy aging and sort of quality of life aging is in its own silo. The merging has become more and more pervasive every year, right?
Combine that,
Right, but to your point, Jungi, I think, and it's really, it's almost like astounding. Why is that resistance there? Is it because the connectivity is not understood? It's too complex. We live in a world where I wanted very simple delivery, quarterly results. What you've done this for 8 years. What is the hesitation? What is the blockage? Where's the blockage?
Well, before I get into the blockage, there's one perfect example of what Pascal and you are talking with the convergence of hospitality, spa, and medical. And that example is the Four Seasons at Westlake.
Yeah.
They have a remarkable medical grade facility. It's not a hospital, but they have doctors there. You can do all kinds of tests, all kinds of rehabilitation, and you are in a five-star property.
And ahead of its time, because that was many years ago that
Absolutely.
they built that up, and it's in Westlake, California, which is in the valley north of Los Angeles, and I believe it's called the Longevity Institute or something like that.
Absolutely.
And it's housed inside the Four Seasons. You're correct. Yeah, that's a good one to bring.
Jengi, I can tell you, they have a new facility
here.
Here, they opened up about a month ago, and they asked me, "How do you think about this place?" You know what? I don't feel like coming to a hospital. I feel I'm coming to a medical spa.
Absolutely, absolutely. And medical spas have been around for quite some time as standalone facilities like day spa, day medical spa, but now with hotels. If you go to Switzerland, you have quite a few with Clinique La Prairie, with Palace Chenot in Vegas. I highly recommend it. It's absolutely amazing. It's not just about losing weight, it's about reboosting your body, and you leave with so much energy. If you go to Thailand, of course, in Bangkok, you have so many beautiful hotels with five-star, like the Anantara. So there are lots of hotels that are doing that. So it's always about the mission of the owner or the GM, because hotels are management companies, and the owner has a vision, this is what he wants to do or she wants to do, and then they ask the hotel operators to do that. There's a lot of risk management, insurance that comes into play, especially in the US. So there's a lot about that. But we're getting there. And when we started World Wellness Weekend, and you were asking me about the website, and I'm sorry, I got carried away with the United Nations and the standing ovation. The WellMap is super, the website is super easy. It's wellmap.org in English, of course, but also in 17 languages. WellMap, WELLMAP, like the wellness map. You can look at it on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, and you can type the name of a city where you live or where you want to go, the name of a country where you live or where you want to go, and you will find a map with a geolocator, and you'll find currently 8,000, almost 700 venues and 151 countries participating. And if you're in California, well, you're in for a treat, because in the US, there are over 130 Marriott spas participating, I mean, worldwide. If you go to West Hollywood at the Edition Hotel, if you go to Ritz-Carlton, Baccarat in Santa Barbara, if you go to the Chuan Spa at the Langham in Pasadena, if you go to Glen Ivy Hot Springs between San Diego and Los Angeles, Newport Beach, Marriott, the VEA, and the Mission, San Juan, Capistrano, the list goes on, but it's remarkable. And if you are in Hawaii, or if you just want to fly to Hawaii, know that every year,
we should try it.
World Wellness Weekend starts on the Friday at sunrise in Fiji and ends on Sunday evening at sunset in Hawaii. And this year it will be the Grand Wailea Hilton in Maui. And the dates are 20, 21st, and 22nd of September. It's always on the third weekend of September. 3 letters for World Wellness Weekend, 3 W's, third weekend of September is where we always come before the equinox. We chose specifically this date before the equinox.
What's happening during this weekend, that special weekend, beside the everyday
offerings? Like, are there special programs that these places have in line?
Oh, yes, because with 20 years in what you call the spa industry, I'd like to call it and refer to it as a spa profession, but it is true, it has turned into an industry, and sometimes it's really doing the daily grind. Yes, World Wellness Weekend was created for 3 groups of people in mind, to really create a sense of awe and wonder. And when I write awe as a Frenchman, I write it A-W-W-W-E, and wonder, W-W-W-onder. So maybe you think I have too much time on my hands, or maybe I really
No, you're just very calculating in how you brand yourself. And that's not a bad thing. I'm laughing because that's right in line with what I know about you.
I know.
Wow, WWW.
Absolutely. You read my mind, brother. So on the weekend, it's not just about yoga and drinking water and taking the staircase. It's about fun. It's about having a blast with your wellness buddies, your family, your friends, your colleagues. It's about doing something fresh, something new. It's a sunrise or a sunset yoga. It's a candlelight yoga. It's not a Zumba class. It's a glow in the dark Zumba. It's lessons with chef to understand about nutrition. There's so many activities that you can attend in person, and all you need to do is go to wellmap.org and you'll find those places, or on wellmap.org, you'll find in the menu a thumbnail called Web TV. We call it also the World Wellness Web TV. You'll find for now about 40 sessions that are planned, some in English, French, Spanish, Japanese, Italian. Last year, 125 hours of content was spontaneously produced around the world by people who not only wanted to reach people in the room, but also set up a phone. And as they were having the workshop, it was also directly streamed on a Facebook Live, on an Insta Live, on Zoom.
What kind of work, what kind of content was that? Was it like fitness content, nutritional content? What kind of content was it? Or what?
So you had fitness sessions, you had mindfulness sessions, you had stretching, you had guided relaxation. For instance, I just received the audio recording from Sandy Ashing. She's British, she lives in Marbella. And last year, when I was in Marbella to celebrate World Wellness Weekend, I'll be in Japan this year in a few weeks. But when I was in Marbella, Spain, which was the most active city in the world with over 180 professionals, venues, places, businesses participating in a 10-kilometer radius, offering over 1,500 activities, fun and free for people. And when I say fun and free, it's also very inclusive because people with special needs were definitely welcome to surf, to play volleyball. There were so many activities for them. So Sandy has sent me her voice. It's a recording that people will be able to download very soon on the web TV. And if they want to go for a walk on the beach, in a park, they will be listening to her voice, and they will be led into an active hypnotherapy session. You are not hypnotized. You will not bump yourself into a tree. You will not be ran over by a car. You will be induced in an alpha state with your eyes wide open, not eyes wide shut, eyes wide open, and you will be transported into a place of within where you can truly recharge yourself. So many activities full of zest or full of relaxation, because we have 5 pillars that we highly encourage people to delve in. Sleep and creativity. What can you do with a good night's sleep, and how much more creative can you be the following day? Nutrition, Pascal, is the second one. Nutrition and what you decide to put in your plate, not just to eat pleasant flavors or to lose weight, but what you decide to put in your plate to strengthen your immune system. Be thy food, may thy food be thy medicine, as said Hippocrates. The third one is movement and vitality. Then there's mindfulness and serenity. And the fifth one, this little piggy here, is purpose and solidarity. The 3 big groups that we had in mind when World Wellness Weekend was created was, of course, guests, clients, to have them come again with a sense of awe and wonder, but also the staff, to give them a carte blanche in relationship with their manager, director, owner, to come up with creative ideas. One thing that I will never forget, RAAD, when we met at ISPA, the International Spa Association in Vegas, was when Lawrence Viscontini, who used to be a fantastic fitness instructor, I believe at, what is the name of this? It's not Rancho La Puerta, or maybe it was at Rancho La Puerta. The name will come back.
Canyon Ranch?
Canyon Ranch, well done. He was at Canyon Ranch, thank you. And he led us into a yoga session in the morning, 6 a.m. in a room with a blazing AC. I don't understand that, being French. But he didn't use the regular music. He used opera overtures. And he called it Yopra, opera with yoga. And when we were holding those asanas, there was an aria that was lifting us, opening up the heart. It was beautiful. This is the kind of crossover fusion, not food, but fusion experiences that you can expect on World Wellness Weekend, and not just for guests and staff, but also for community.
So let me ask you, because I'm going to put you on the spot. That's the only warning you're getting, is I'm putting you on the spot.
Oops.
You know me, I'm playing nice. I'm not going to put you on the spot that way. But
okay.
Here's the spot. Okay, I want you to share what your concept, what your individual recipe menu of wellness is. And the reason why I'm asking that is because I'm trying to highlight that and almost give permission to everybody that wellness is not a one size fits all. Wellness is not a program that is, you have the ability to write your own wellness. that you have the ability to come up with whatever that recipe and ingredients of your wellness is. But the underlying emphasis is that you are conscious and cognizant of the fact that stillness, quietness, space, creativity, solidarity, social interaction, all of these things that seem up in today's modern society as being sort of low valued elements are actually where the real gold lies. And I think, you know, I can philosophize from now till tomorrow, forever about the need for redefining terminologies, coming up with a different description for the word productivity, coming out with a different description for the word, you know, success, et cetera. But my point is, I'm asking you because you're a person who's leading the charge on this. You're engaging people and making them really honestly. I think the biggest thing is you're making them think. You're making them stop long enough and look at this thing that maybe they pass by it on a you know, restaurant that menu that says, you know, healthy choices, or they pass by it when they're like at a fitness place, or, you know, there's classes, but I'm in a hurry because I want to get a little bit of weightlifting in before I leave the gym. Your schedule, and you've been doing this to a lot of people, and you've raised awareness, which is really the critical component, right? But for you, what is wellness? And I'll be fair, when you tell me, I will tell you mine.
Me too.
I show you mine and you show me yours.
You show me yours.
That's what you had in mind, right? Okay.
That's why we have a
Hey, how long have you known me? Of course, that's what I had in mind.
Lord
Of course.
You show me your wellness, I'll show you mine.
Absolutely. You know, Rad, for me, the key word is love, because whatever I do with a heavy dose of love, in the work that I do, in the relationships that I have with my family, my wife. We're celebrating 30 years this year. Our two daughters. I am married to my job. I'm married to my vocation. I'm married to my wife. I love my daughters. Two very strong, independent young women, 27, 24, free to choose who they love, what they will do for work. Love is a big word. And it came really to light when I read Rumi, the Sufi poet, and he said, fall in love, stay there. That's my favorite quote from Rumi, fall in love, stay there. Because I am not a man of good measures. I am not a man of balance. I am in search of balance, very humbly. World Wellness Weekend was not created for me, but I had myself or people like me in mind who do good enough never is. It's 10:30 p.m. and we're talking. It should be bedtime, but I'm passionate, and there is this light in me that I hope that I can help rekindle in the life and the light of so many others who pass it on, and there's something happening in their life, and that light dwindles. So I try to practice every morning with yoga, but I'm not every morning. I try to walk. I'm not a runner. I try to be mindful, but I'm not a good meditant. If I meditate, I need Post-its, and I keep writing what I need to do and who I need to call and who I need to email. But the sense of purpose, I definitely have as a Sagittarius, Ascendant Leo, and French. What can I say? Purpose is definitely something that I try to pass on. And there's this song that keeps on resonating in my heart. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Not because it is mine and because I have a big ego, but everyone should want to be bold and daring to say, I'm going to light my little, I'm going to let my light shine, because together we can scare a lot of darkness.
Well, and it's a work in progress, is what you're saying. It's a constant work in progress,
Never,
or not necessarily work in
never
progress.
end, because you have a goal, you have a mission.
But it's like he's what did he start off with? He said we'll start off with love, all right?
Yeah.
So I will just take it just one step from that and say happiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, and this is almost like a cliche at this point, right? Happiness is not a destination, it is the journey.
It is the journey.
Right. So what
Contentment,
yeah,
joy.
yeah, what you're explaining, and contentment and joy and being satiated, right, is a very, very hard trait for human beings to grab onto. Those who basically have the ability to be satisfied, to be content, to have peace, right? I mean, happiness and love, yes, but those, again, those, if you didn't have those, you would not be in a state of wellness. You would not be well, right? You would be, to your point, out of balance. You would be in search of something. You may not even be able to put your finger on it. And a lot of people out there are in that state. They cannot define what it is that's going on with them and why they are restless.
Very true.
Right. Plus, to your point about your inner light, yes, I think even whatever your inner light is, it's like, for me, I agree with you, leaving people better than you found them, not leaving things better than you found them, but leaving people better than you found them.
Yes.
Having an impact that isn't based on ego, but based on a sense of fulfillment that you actually contributed, right? Whether it's a small thing or a big thing, looking at people and saying it, no matter who it is. And I know this sounds like a flippant thing, but it's true that whoever it is has something to contribute. There's some value in everybody that you interact with, whether they are socioeconomic, whatever level, religion, whatever level, it doesn't matter. The connection with people, that is me. When I'm not in alignment with that, I am not well.
I agree. This is why we have those 5 pillars in that order. Sleep, because we need to sleep, and we need to wake up. That's everyone needs to sleep at least 6-7 hours. Eat, well, hopefully at least 1 meal, and choose wisely if you can, and if you can afford. And then be active. And it can just be walking. It doesn't have to be getting ready for the Olympics in Paris, or soon the Olympics in Los Angeles. It's just about being active, because sitting is the new smoking. And in Europe, they did a study that showed that 4 years ago, 42% of Europeans said they had zero physical activity, zero. I mean, besides getting out of bed and getting into the dining room and going for groceries, that's it. So they spend a lot of money on awareness, sports, education, facilities, associations. And they did the survey again, and from 42%, they jumped to 46% of Europeans having zero activity. Those statistics come from the European Commission, and it's scary. Obesity.
We've become more sedentary.
Yes, but not just in our bodies. I think we became more sedentary in our minds also. Yeah. And you are so right. When we are complaining about our life and what's happening not in the direction where we want,
you're going backward.
Why don't we give an hour for social work, social community, helping in a nearby church, association, charity? I'll give you 3 examples that really blew my mind with the World Wellness Weekend. So agreed, I'm a consultant, I'm an educator, and I'm encouraging hotels, resorts, fitness clubs, spas, salons, yoga studios and Pilates to open their doors and to create at least one fun, free, inclusive activity so that people come into the property or visit them online and hopefully want to come again. I also do it for the staff, and I especially do it for the community. Last year, 3 examples. A hotel GM in Bali, Indonesia, opened the property for the clients, of course, for the staff and for the local community, with a yoga session and a fitness class. And at the end of those 2 sessions, he went to see the people participating who had a smile from ear to ear. And some were sweating, some were so relaxed. And he said, "How do you feel?" "Oh, fantastic, absolutely great. Can I ask you what your blood type is?" A+, I think. Would you say that now with the oxygen in your blood, with the endorphins, the serotonin, the oxytocin, the pleasure hormones flushing through your veins, would you say that symbolically your A+ blood type could be A++? because you feel great? Maybe. Would you consider just going at the entrance of the property and donating a pint of your blood to the Red Cross that has a van waiting for you? Because if you're now feeling this oxygenated and happy, could you donate for someone who may need it for a procedure?
Would you share it with someone who needs it?
Transforming wellness into blood. In Buenos Aires, when in the Northern Hemisphere, it's going to be fall and winter, they are entering spring. And so 10 independent practitioners, a fitness coach, a practitioner in shamanic drumming, a nutritionist, person who guided for mindfulness and guided session, 10 people realized that their place, each of them, is too small to really host something. And together they wanted to host something meaningful. So they decided to meet outdoors and greet the spring for them in Buenos Aires. They all sent an email blast to their clients saying, come for my class or for the 9 others. You can come for the whole day or you can come just for one. Come with a friend, come with your mat, come with a bottle of water to stay hydrated. But please, would you consider bringing some non-perishable food? Maybe rice, noodles, biscuits, coffee, tea, sugar, whatever you can, which is non-perishable. By the end of the day, they had 283 kilos of food that they shared with 3 associations. People came with their mat, their friend, their smile, and their bottle of water. And when they left with great memories and selfies and wealthies, and they left food for those who need it the most. So these are the things that we do, and this is why this year, the United Nations in Geneva, through one of their departments, the Arts Impact for Health and Sustainable Development Goals, is waiting for photos from as many people, businesses, venues, institutions, schools, senior living, who will do something reaching out to the community. And with the activity that they will organize, if they can take a photo with the agreement of the people to be on the photo, they send it on a form on our website, again, wellmap.org. There's a thumbnail called UN SDGs for Sustainable Development Goals. If you click, you'll find information and you'll find a form. And you can say, hi, my name is RAAD, that's my email. I organized a mindfulness session in a senior living to say, and the title was, My Grandmother Was Right. Whatever she told me about life, take it easy, be sincere and everything, she was right. I'm giving back. What are your stories? And we're doing something. There were 45 people. They really enjoyed themselves. Photo, and then it's sent. Isabelle Waxmuth, the director of the program in Geneva, will take as many photos as she can, the best quality, the best resolution as possible, and she's going to print them, and she's going to create a mosaic with all of those photos. And that is going to become a work of art, it's going to become an exhibition, and people and journalists will be able to visit it at the Palace of Nations in Geneva. Whoever does something in their neighborhood, sends it on our form, can be presented in an art form with a mosaic in Geneva with the United Nations. This is where we're taking it, RAAD.
Well, I think, you know, the practicality of the world we live in, the reality of the world we live in is you started when you said something that one of the blockages, and I don't want to skip over that because we sometimes get into the habit of being very very positive outlooking, right? Which is very effective and it's necessary. But I'm almost 60 and I also have a little jadedness. And when I look at things and you say something, you know, and I'm not picking on you, by the way. I mean, I think you bring up the point, like, what is in it for me, right? The word monetizing usually sometimes gets into this recipe and it spoils it. What you're talking about is really identifying the worth and value in a different manner. And I'll tell you what was really interesting for me. I was in Beverly Hills a few years ago, and I saw an attempt to rebrand the city that was going to be basically championed, I believe, by Christy Brinkley at the time.
Ooh.
Okay. And so, you know, when you talk about Beverly Hills, you are talking about wealth. Okay. Guess what the premise of this campaign was? They were spelling wealth, W-E-L-L.
Whoa.
Right. So it's interesting that, again, we fall victim sometimes to not having the bandwidth or the space to creatively redefine what it is that we put value in.
Mm-hmm.
And what you have been doing, my friend, for 8 years, and I really want to highlight this, is you have been giving people a few days out of the year in order for them to consider, through this medium of wellness, meditation. I mean, when you say mindfulness, I think half the people don't have a friggin' clue what you're talking about. I mean, let's be fair, right? I mean, what's this mindfulness thing that everybody's throwing at me these days? Everybody's saying mindful this, I'm mindful of that, whatever. But I don't know, maybe when I get some time and I can sit still, I'll look into it. I mean, that's kind of like the irony of the whole question, right? Like, if you're going to make time to find out about mindfulness, the whole point of mindfulness is that you slow down enough to have a mindfulness of the now.
Pay
and
attention. Yeah,
right.
pay attention, pay the respect.
To the here and the now. So I think the fascinating conversation about this with you, and again, doing it for 8 years is different from when you're just launching it. You now have this multitude of input, multitude of examples. I mean, the thing about when you're sharing about how they turned a wellness engagement, which basically brought people together and built camaraderie around the activity, which at the face of it, you would say, well, the whole thing was about yoga. No, the whole thing was about bringing people together and having a shared experience and being in the moment around an activity, but then to channel that energy to empower wellness to where it is now basically a giving in blood donations. I mean, it's so simple, but it's so profoundly powerful.
Yes.
To channel the power of wellness into a value that is not necessarily dollars and cents, but it's actually value of human life, people's survival. I mean, hey, your blood type is A positive, and you just added another extra. So you just went, on steroids. Now your blood type is A positive. So, that guy over there, maybe he could use some A positive. Can you give him a booster shot of your blood of A positive? I mean,
can I add something to
yeah.
And
so I want to thank you. Like this is value.
It's great.
This is really value.
In Jean-Guy, unfortunately, you have only one weekend a year, and we talk to the people who are experiencing the weekend that they can also do their own wellness weekend on their own. Like I know our philosophy of life, like in France, when you live in a city, you want to go in the countryside on a weekend. You want to walk in the forest with friends or family, or even sometimes alone, and so you can carry on your purpose and goal out of your wellness weekend. Is that what you have in mind too?
Pascal, you're absolutely right. And some people say life is a circle. I would like to say that life ideally is a spiral. It's an upward going spiral. After 8 years, we are coming back to a point, but with an elevation, because we're not starting again. We're incremental every year. When we started on year 1 in France and Belgium, because there were only 2 countries participating, it was not a world wellness weekend. How could I say that when it was just 2 countries? So, Pascal, you're right. It was a wellness weekend on the 3rd weekend of September. And now, 8 years later, from 2 countries to 151, from maybe 20 cities to over 2,800 cities where there will be at least one fun-free inclusive activity. We are now, we have received letters of support. We have received proclamations from 7 governors in the US over the years, 40 mayors, 7 ministers of health, tourism, sports. But the 2 most recent are absolutely remarkable to show you how it's now getting to another level. Yes, it's 3 days in the weekend, but now we have the Minister of Tourism in Uruguay, who has signed a letter and will have a national press conference on September 11th to say that he declares with his government that World Wellness Weekend has become an event of national interest. That's how he puts it, of national interest to promote wellness tourism in Uruguay. The Secretary of Sports in Uruguay is saying, and it is a great opportunity also to do sports on that weekend.
Yeah.
So they are launching something that's going to grow. And the mayor of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic will have a press release to announce that most likely Santo Domingo this year will be the most active city in the world because she has requisitioned, if it is a verb that you use, she has decided to use the 90 plus parks of the city, some small, some very big, almost like Central Park in New York. In each of these 90 parks, there will be activities from morning to evening for the 3 days. And wait for it, RAAD. Once the World Wellness Weekend is finished, she will continue to encourage local practitioners to come in the weekend for locals to continue having wellness on every weekend in as many parks as possible. This is what I call a snowball effect. It's happening now after 8 years.
You mentioned the Olympics a few minutes ago, right? I mean, in every city that the Olympics goes into, they build facilities that didn't exist before. They build possibility. Let's use the word possibility instead of facilities because it translates. What's happening here is you're seeding the wellness idea into situations over a period of 3 days, where then it basically takes root. And if it takes root, then the same spaces, the same people that are participating, whatever, now basically can run with it to where it is now beyond just the weekend. And honestly, if you really want to be very pragmatic, it is a viably monetizable situation. You just have to think about value in a different manner.
Yes,
There is a lot to do.
It could be every weekend too.
Well, I mean, you want to hear about, the Jamaican bobsledding team, like people that get engaged with sports and wellness. And again, I know we're talking about sports and nutrition and stuff like that because they're very definable categories, right? But wellness, like we said, love, mindfulness, happiness, being there for people that you care about, that is also part of what feeds your soul, feeds your wellness, right? And for people to be allowed, given permission to stop over a 3-day period and consider this aspect, this reality that's around them, when they've been usually on such a dead run and head down and careening through life, that they don't do that, in some cases it's going to take. And in some cases, wonderful stuff goes out of it. What have you seen, Jean-Guy? Like, 2 questions. What have you seen, like, from year 1 to year 8, right? In terms, have there been sectors, have been areas that have kind of surprised you, that they've engaged with this? Have there been maybe levels of engagement that, again, we're like, wow, I had no idea. Like, this is amazing. Like the blood thing was a great example, right? And then what do you see in the future? You're approaching a decade. I mean, in 2 years, it'll be 10 years that you've been doing this, right? What are your own sort of hopes and aspirations for this?
So I'm mindful of time. Do we have 6 more minutes before
we do.
clock strikes? Okay, so I'll try to make to be as short as possible. What really surprised me is that when we started, I really started with my own backyard, and being a consultant and an educator for spas and hotels, this was the most active group category of venues in World Wellness Weekend. Very rapidly, it became fitness clubs who totally understood the value of open doors, offering the first class, making it fun, creating the opportunity for people to come, see the facility, see the class, and want to come again. So this is really the category that is absolutely booming. Very interestingly also, I see a rise in properties signing up, not just as spas or salons, which was the main category at the beginning, but as wellness centers. They want now to present themselves as places promoting prevention, recovery, longevity, and not necessarily only facials, massage, mani-pedis. They may still do that, and it could still very well be on their menu, but they are adding meditation, Reiki, sound healing, and they expand the portfolio of their activities. The second question is, where is this leading? I hope after urging people to take vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin B, we can encourage people to enjoy vitamin W, vitamin wellness, vitamin T, vitamin tourism, so that they can decide whether they're going to dedicate those 3 days for a staycation and rediscover their city, rediscover maybe half an hour drive away from them, to see what is the local wellness collective around, or decide to go to Palm Springs, decide to go to another state. I know it's complicated right now with the blue states and the red states, which state you're going to go in, but just discover nature, just discover the natural parks. Just I'm in love with your country, with all those parks and those wonders.
There's a lot of stuff a lot of options to offer. In fact, you know what? In some cases, it might be as simple as discovering yourself, rediscovering yourself, rediscovering the people around you.
So Jean-Guy, you understand that we like what you just state, and do you need, or do you already have ambassadors all over the world that can carry on your philosophy, and we can go on following your line, maybe carry your speech,
Thank you, Pascal. It is absolutely key. Wellness does not start with me, it starts with we. You can check it out in the dictionary, WE. So it starts with we, and it grows with all of us. I started alone, and very rapidly on year 2, there were 88 countries, but I would have never have made this dream possible without the help and support of currently 230 ambassadors, coordinators, and wellness leaders around the world. Wow. Some are hotel GMs, some are presidents or chairpersons of spa associations, some are managers, directors, educators, consultants. They are part of a bigger movement. So yes, they can definitely reach out to me. My email is my first name, jean-guy@weekend-wellness.com, or they can simply go to wellmap.org and they can go to the contact form and say, hey, I heard you on the radio, it was the RAAD Life. I want to understand how I can participate in this World Wellness Weekend. And we will be welcoming new ambassadors, city ambassadors, province ambassadors, maybe country ambassadors in some instances, or wellness champions, wellness leaders, or coordinators. RAAD, and I'll try to be quick, for 4 years, I was super passionate in volunteering as the chair of an initiative for the Global Wellness Institute called the Global Mentorship Program. Mm-hmm. And for 4 years, we paired senior directors with aspiring new spa managers who had at least 2 to 3 years experience, because we didn't want to help people who said, where do I start? But people who already had the ropes and said, how do I become a better leader? And when we were doing this as a think tank and as a connection, because connection is absolutely key, we all grew together. We are now, with ambassadors and coordinators around the world, creating again a connection, a network of people who meet every month for Zoom calls, region by region, share best practices. We share studies. We share research that is published. If someone goes to a convention, a conference, reads something, we put it in a Google Drive and everyone can benefit. Because how can you be the competitor of someone in Malaysia or France or Belgium when you're in Los Angeles? A tide rises all ships, and this is what we're doing with wellness. So for us, wellness is a renewable energy that can light up the world. And yes, ambassadors, coordinators, and wellness leaders are welcome. Thank you, Pascal, for mentioning it.
Oh, you're welcome. That's beautiful.
Yep.
Yes.
I told you.
Yeah, I know.
Told you.
I love it.
Told you I know this guy. I've known him for a long time. I don't just ask anybody to be on the show.
But now we have to
Well,
follow
I
up.
mean, first thing I want to check and make sure that Paul's still alive.
I am. I'm still here. Can you just give us a couple of locations? I went on your site. I see the new Mission Inn, the relatively new Mission Inn in San Juan Capistrano.
In our immediate locale, yeah.
Yeah, in Orange County. What are the ones here? And you want to give any other shout outs to here in Southern California? You set up in West Hollywood. I know there's one. And I was surprised there were some other places.
Santa Barbara, the Ritz-Carlton Baccarat, there's the Chuan Spa in Pasadena, Glen Ivy Hot Springs, of course, Newport Beach, Marriott. So many salt chambers, so many halotherapy centers also participating, where you can just breathe with halotherapy and salt and have clear up your mind.
Right.
So many fitness clubs participating. I mean, the list goes on. And thank you, Paul, for being on wellmap.org. Everyone's welcome. It's totally free to participate as a venue. It's totally free for you as the public to participate. Some venues may offer one fun-free activities and then may offer the opportunity to stay longer on property at the hotel or resort and say, well, the yoga is free, but then there's brunch, and brunch is not free. So would you like to come for the yoga and then the brunch, or would you like to come for the cocktails or mocktails, or maybe you'd like to extend your stay with a treatment? So maybe some properties will create irresistible offers, but the whole purpose is to pay forward for good health and well-being for all with at least one fun-free, inclusive activity.
And I'm wondering if you have reached out to, you started with hotels because that's your background with general managers and the wellness centers at major hotels. And now it seems like you've got fitness clubs, you've got some other types of activities. I wonder if there's more and more of these integrative medicine places here in Southern California. There's an integrative institute here on UCI's campus where they're trying to integrate East and West meditation and yoga and acupressure and acupuncture into Western medicine. They're trying to bring these different diverse range of skills together here. I wonder if they might not be, because they're all trying to aim towards wellness. Wellness has become this catch-all for everything.
So I'm laughing, Jean-Guy, as Paul is saying this for one reason. A few years ago, as some people may know, we've been doing this show. I turned 50, and I thought, hey, I didn't know. Paul said, "You want to do a podcast?" And I said, "Sure, that may be a good thing for my wellness." Well, it was actually, but I was being very sarcastic at the time, right? So Paul. Actually, at one point, and I can't remember exactly when, it was early, let's say halfway through the last 7 years that we were doing the show. I basically had a fellow friend of ours, Scott Duncan and Spot Gregory's, basically come on and basically share. And I can't remember if it was something to do with wellness that was going on, or maybe something that they had as a special offering. I knew. Anyway, so here's what happened. So we literally had got in this. You better.
I know where this is going. Yeah.
Chuckle in the back story, the back room there. Okay, because he's all like, Paul's like, what about this integrative medicine? And I'm laughing because Paul, up till that point, we discovered, had never had a massage.
No, I'm from the Midwest part of the country here. We don't touch each other under any circumstances.
Okay, all right. Before it goes way off the rails here, let me finish. All right. So we basically played one on him. We brought in a massage therapist in with Scott
on the show,
on live, yeah.
And Paul Roberts, for the first time in his life, how old were you, Paul, at the time?
Probably 60, late 50s, 60. Yeah.
Was chair massaged on the air live. Okay.
It wasn't so bad. It was kind of nice.
Yeah. On studio, right?
No mic. No mic.
Oh no, there's audio.
Oh, there's audio. There's video for this, and all my friends.
Not the kind of audio you want, but there's definitely audio. Okay, so there's audio, and so we left it alone. So a couple of months ago, or maybe last month, all of a sudden, Paul Roberts is sharing with me that he has actually, behind my back, been getting energy work done.
Acupressure.
Acupressure work done,
which is deep massage with this understanding of blocking your energy, if there is such a thing.
I can't shut him up anymore. I mean, he's just like on a roll now with his wellness thing. So it's fascinating that back then we planted a seed and gave permission to a Midwesterner who doesn't touch and doesn't want to be touched,
Yeah.
the permission to actually seek an alternative form of wellness. And a few years later, he is now knee deep in integrated medicine and energy work and all this stuff. And he's sitting there telling you, have you thought about reaching this person, that
Yeah.
person? It just puts a smile on my heart that even people like Paul Roberts can be reached.
And isn't that the history? I'll go one more minute here. Isn't that the evolution rather of the concept of wellness? You laughed and started this, said, I'm a kid, I'm in my 20s here. I'm going out and partying at places like Studio 54 and staying up all night. Wellness was if I could get up the next morning and go to work. That I felt well then. That was good. I was about as good as I could do. I wasn't thinking about taking care of my body. I wasn't thinking about what I ate. Then somewhere along the way, around 30s, I started gaining weight. And I said, I better exercise a little more. I never really exercised. Now I'm running and doing some stuff. And then somewhere along the way, suddenly this idea of getting a massage isn't so bad. Maybe the idea but it still seems like a special occasion. You go once a year and pamper yourself. You don't go regularly. Wellness has become more of a regular part of my thinking, whereas wellness was just, I don't know. I didn't know what wellness was. Am I good? Do I feel well enough to get up in the morning? Am I still hungover? I can still make it to work. There was no great theory of my spiritual wellness, my physical wellness. Now you're talking about it. So I think slowly but surely we're coming around to this idea of a holistic, complete approach to wellness. And I'm wondering if there aren't other types of facilities out there that would embrace this idea.
Paul, I'd like to connect with what Pascal said about ambassadors. We are extremely strong with Wellness Weekend in Europe, in Asia, in Latin America. We still have a lot of ground to cover in the US. Can you imagine there are only 150 venues participating in the US? You are one of the largest continents on the planet.
Yeah.
You are the #1 market for wellness and spa and sports and fitness and everything. All the trends come from the US. And still the USA now, because I haven't met the right people who can say, sure, I'll chip in with 1 hour or 2 hours every week to send the documents that we are creating.
Right.
We have so many templates, so many messaging, so many social media, so many elements that are ready to be used and sent by someone. If we can meet an influencer, that's great, but I'm looking for people of influence, people who not necessarily are influencers with 500,000 people and posting photos. There are people of influence in their cities, in their province. People look to them, trust them, and when they say, guys, let's do something, let's do it.
You said the word purpose. Okay. What we're talking about is a calling, it's a purpose, and it's an understanding of the magnitude of what that ripple can do, right? And
purpose and the goal.
We have some thoughts that we'll share with you of there, because I agree with you 100%. And I think in fact the most impact is probably and the quickest impact is probably major difference is probably not where most people look for it. It's probably not populations or people like generations or groups that people usually think of first when it comes to this, because you have to look at it from the perspective of leaving people better than you found them.
Yes.
It's not giving people something to make them feel better if they can afford it.
The quality of our relationships, true, RAAD, the quality of our relationships is the strongest currency there is. Trust.
And I think as an ambassador, we could carry on your one weekend a year, through the whole year, and stay connected with the hospitality to say, hey, it's not going to be a weekend, but maybe during every weekend offer something, invite people for that, and under your wellness program.
It's a give back. It really is, and it's it's like there's a thing, and I mentioned a couple times, awareness, right? I think what we're experiencing here, what Paul just shared from his own personal journey, so to speak, is that at some point the light switch came on and you had an awareness.
Yeah, right.
You had an epiphany, right? You had
aha moment.
an aha moment that basically now has, at your own pace, at your own,
There must have been,
in your own idiom,
there
if
must
you
have
will.
been a good massage.
Well, I don't know. I turned my head. I didn't look. What happens at the OC Talk Radio studio stays at OC Talk Radio.
But look at what, yeah, exactly. But think about what I've seen in my lifetime. My father would have never
I
gotten.
really would rather not.
No, but he
actually.
would never have gotten a massage in his lifetime. World War II veteran, big tough guy, never would let somebody man massage him. That's just not going to happen in his lifetime. Now there are chains. We've had him in here before. Massage Envy, the guy who founded Massage Envy, was in here a couple of years ago. These nationwide chains, Hearth and Stone or whatever the other one's called. There's 2 or 3 of these chains out there that turned massage from being a something titillating. Oh yeah, you went into a back room and got a massage. I know what happened. To an acceptable form of health and wellness treatment. It's in a shopping center right down the street from me. You know, it's not hidden in a back room somewhere in a red light district.
Therapeutic.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think it's that once that awareness happens for the individual, then it's almost your legacy to share that awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And to open the door further. Come on and try it. See what you're doing. That's what I'm thinking. There's all these massage chains that have opened up, all these integrative medicines.
I'm not talking about the corporate delivery system on this. I'm talking about the intrinsic core awareness that you will share with the person down the street, with the guy that you see at the park bench, that you may actually see doing something you recognize. You go, wow, that's really interesting. I love that. Can you tell me more about it? It's a community that basically raises itself. It's the way they say, you're talking about, like, a water that rises and raises all ships, right? It's not what's in it for me. It's how I can basically help raise an awareness.
RAAD and Paul, what's amazing is that you, as we conclude this conversation, you are putting the finger on the main theme of this year. Last year, the main theme was wellness is a renewable energy that can light up the world. This year, we ask a simple question: what time is it? And the answer is always the same. It's wellness o'clock. Whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, what you are about to do, to eat or get some rest or be active or be mindful or share some of your time with someone else, you can decide if it's going to be a wellness moment, because it is. If you want to let it can be wellness o'clock for you.
So I think with that, we should let you have your wellness moment and get some rest.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you very much, my friend, for taking
It's
the time.
bedtime
It's
for
his
now.
wellness time.
Yeah.
He needs some wellness
Need to
time.
get
It's
some
11:15 here in Paris.
You see that color on his face? I like that color on his face. That's a wellness color right there. So no, it's time for you for us to let you go. You've been very generous with your wellness time, and I really appreciate you, my friend. It's always good to have a chance to sit down and talk with you and philosophize a little bit. But I think this is a really from the heart mission for you, and I thank you for it, and thank you for staying the course for the 8 years. I can't wait to see what you do with it next, because to your point, it's a spiral that just gets smaller but gets higher. So
Absolutely.
thank you very much, Jean-Guy, for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Merci à toi. Thank you, RAAD. Thank you, Pascal, and thank you, Paul. And thank you to all of you listening.
All right.
All the best. Bye.
Hang on. No, I was having trouble